Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Kudos to you and pat on the back for joining me for another live stream today. My prayer for you is that God continues to shine his grace, mercy, love, and favor up on you today. All right. So if you looked at the market at all today, you will see that just about everything opened up with big gaps, huge gaps. Okay. On Friday, we were looking at GU and we were looking at GU selling. And unfortunately, I didn't get in hold this over the weekend, but this was a 142 pip drop, which was beautiful. And apparently, Trump tariffs going into effect on yesterday, the 1st, is what affected this. So I was in my room watching Jessica Lane's live. She has this young man come on quite often to explain the fundamental side of trading. And so I'm not fully aware of the Trump's tariffs and how it's going to affect the market and everything. So I figured we could just watch this together. So shout out to Jessica Lane. I'm going to rewind this to the beginning and we are going to watch this together.
Jess, you okay?
You are.
I do also have Jessica Lane's course. I learned structure from her, but I learned ICT from my last mentor, which is Tracy Esco. Shout out to Certified Snipers. All right, here it is, Mr. Tony.
These tariff fees, right? They're going to pass them on. They're going to have to, right? So we're going to talk a little bit. Ever going to be company is going to suck.
Hold on, I'm trying to get to the beginning of where he's talking. If you want to hear what Mr. Tony's saying, come join me on YouTube at Sierra_trades_, okay? And we're going to see how this is going to help us navigate the market this week with the fundamental side. And as we all know, it's the first week of the month. So first Friday is NFPs, as non-farm payroll, which is a very volatile day. And the whole first week in general for trading is very volatile. So we're trying to get this money on, and we want to make sure we're on the right side of the market this week so that the market isn't taking our coins, okay? So it looks like tomorrow isn't too bad. We'll have one red folder. Wednesday, we got job openings. I'm sorry, that was Tuesday. Wednesday, we have ADP, NFP, NF farm employment, and ISMS services PMI. Thursday, we got a bunch of GBP red folders and unemployment claims. And then Friday, average hourly earnings and non-farm employment change. All right, so let's get into this video and let's see what they talking about. Let's learn something new today.
Appreciate the invite. How you doing, everyone? I hope you're having a great evening. And how you doing? We're just going to go. We're going to have an open session like we did last time. I think we were just on a week or so ago talking about what we thought was going to happen, and it's starting to play out the way we, said it was going to happen about a week ago. So we want to get into a little bit about tariffs and what's happening now, because he's tariffing everybody. He's laying off massive agency members with years and years of experience and technical knowledge to replace them with other people with lesser experience. And all of this is going to have a profound effect on the markets, the Forex markets, the international trade markets, the options market. All of this is going to be affected. And it's ultimately going to come down to
about how tariffs is going to affect the market.
Your pockets, my pockets, everybody's pockets, right? Because these tariffs are going to get passed on to the consumer. They always do. Mm-hmm. So it's not ever going to be where a company is going to suck up the majority of these tariff fees, right? They're going to pass them on. They're going to have to, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that and whether or not America is doomed as doom and gloom as people may think. And we're going to just have an open forum and let you guys ask whatever questions you can ask. Hopefully, I won't take up all of your time, and you can get some other things done with Jess if you need to. But I'm here for you to answer any questions. So, one of the first things that we probably need to address is these tariffs between Mexico and Canada.
All right, so first
Right.
tariff he's addressing
And
is tariffs between
we got to
Mexico and
remember
Canada.
that he's about to tariff.
Okay, so let's see exactly what is the tariffs between Mexico and Canada. Trump tariffs. Okay, so fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump imposes tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China. It says addressing an emergency situation. The extraordinary threat posed by illegal aliens and drugs, including deadly fentanyl, constitutes a national emergency. Fentanyl definitely does constitute a national emergency. I personally know someone that passed away off of taking drugs and it had fentanyl in it, unfortunately. Okay. Um, It says constitute a national emergency under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Until the crisis is alleviated, President Donald J. Trump is implementing a 25% additional tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico and a 10% additional tariff. Okay, first off, what is a tariff? Let's start there. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. Tariffs are a type of trade barrier that can raise prices, reduce the quantity of goods available, create an economic burden on foreign exporters, regulate foreign trade and policy, and encourage or safeguard domestic industry. So I'm confused about this whole egg situation because as many farms as we have here in the United States, why are eggs being affected by these tariffs? Hold on. All eggs are being affected because of the bird flu outbreak. Because chickens are a bird. Okay. So it ain't got nothing to do with tariffs. Okay, let's go back to it. President Trump is taking bold action to hold Mexico, Canada, and China accountable to their promises of halting illegal immigration and stopping poisonous fentanyl and other drugs from flowing into our country. The orders make clear that the flow of contraband drugs like fentanyl to the United States through illicit distribution networks has created a national emergency, including a public health crisis. Chinese officials have failed to take the actions necessary to stem the flow of precursor chemicals to known criminal cartels and shut down money laundering by transnational criminal organizations. In addition, the Mexican drug trafficking organizations have an intolerable alliance with the government of Mexico. The government of Mexico has afforded safe havens for the cartels to engage in the manufacturing and transportation of dangerous narcotics, which collectively. I'm sorry, y'all. I got a puppy. You gotta make sure she's not going behind my desk messing with my computer. So if the live gets cut off, it's because she will walk behind there and she start chewing on some cool words. Okay, where were we? In addition, the Mexican drug trafficking organizations have an intolerable alliance. Hold on, Kaya. See, I'm just talking about her. I knew she was doing something. I don't want to yell in y'all ears. Hold on. All right, I apologize on day one. I told y'all I'm a mama. I'm a mother. So there will be interruptions and a puppy mama, okay? And this little girl here, she's 13 weeks and she gets into everything. All right. The government of Mexico has afforded safe havens for the cartels to engage in the manufacturing and transportation of dangerous narcotics, which collectively have led to the overdose deaths of hundreds of thousands of American victims. Make sure. Okay. This alliance endangers the national security of the United States, and we must eradicate the influence of these dangerous cartels. There is also a growing presence of Mexican cartels operating fentanyl and natazine synthesis labs in Canada. Oh, wow. A recent study recognized Canada's heightened domestic production of fentanyl and its growing footprint within the international narcotics distribution. Using our leverage to ensure America's safety. Previous administrations failed to fully leverage America's economic position as a tool to secure our borders against illegal migration and combat the scourge of fentanyl, preferring to let problems fester. Access to the American market is a privilege. That is true. The United States has one of the most open economies in the world and the lowest average tariff rates in the world. Wow. While trade accounts for 67% of Canada's GDP, which is gross domestic products, 73% of Mexico's GDP, and 37% of China's GDP. It accounts for only 24% of US GDP. However, in 2023, the US trade deficit in goods was the world's largest at over 1 trillion. Tariffs are a powerful proven source of leverage for protecting the national interest. President Trump is using the tools at hand and taking decisive action that puts America's safety and our national security first. Though previous administrations have failed to leverage America's combination of exceptional strength and its unique role in the world trade to advance the security interests of the American people, President Trump has not. President Trump is keeping his promise to stop the flood of illegal aliens and drugs. When voters overwhelmingly elected Donald J. Trump as president, they gave him a mandate to seal the border. This is exactly what he is doing. The Biden administrative policies have fueled the worst border crisis in the history. More than 10 million illegal aliens attempted to enter the United States under Biden's leadership, including a rising number of Chinese nationals and people on the terror watch list. Wow. This problem is not confined to the southern border. Encounters at the northern border with Canada are rising as well. The sustained influx of illegal aliens has profound consequences on every aspect of our national life, overwhelming our schools, lowering our wages, reducing our housing supply, and raising rents, overcrowding our hospitals, draining our welfare system, and causing crime. Gang members, smugglers, human traffickers, and illegal drugs and narcotics of all kinds are pouring across our borders and into our communities. Last fiscal year, Customs and Borders Protection apprehended more than 21,000 pounds of fentanyl at our borders, enough fentanyl to kill more than 4 billion people. It is estimated that federal officials are only able to seize a fraction of the fentanyl smuggled across the southern border. These drugs kill tens of thousands of Americans each year, including 75,000 deaths per year attributed to fentanyl alone. More Americans are dying from fentanyl overdoses each year than the number of American lives lost in the entirety of the Vietnam War. President Trump continues to demonstrate his commitment to ensuring U.S. trade policy serves the national interest. As President Trump said in the presidential memorandum on American First trade policy is a critical component in national security. President Trump promised in November to sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming into the United States and its ridiculous open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop the invasion of our country. And you know what? People talk about Trump and everything that he's doing with these illegal aliens, but one thing about it, if we go over to somebody else's country, they want to see our passports. We not getting into their country illegally and getting a job and living off of their country because they don't like us. They don't like us. But y'all mad that he's trying to protect our jobs. That's what I'm getting from it. You get what you want to get from it. But these other countries don't like us. Maybe they take, it's so many people being held in they cells. That whole thing that went down with, what was her name, Brittany Garner, that basketball player. Like, they don't like us. They don't like us, y'all. We may not like the president and everything that he's doing, but a lot of the stuff that he's doing, it seems to be for our well-being. You didn't eat any food. Go get some dinner. He thought he was just going to sneak by me with a bag of chips, his third bag of chips today. We're not having that. All right, so it says this tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl and illegal aliens, stop this invasion of our country. During his first term as president of the United States, President Trump established the President's Commission on Combating Drug Addiction and the Opioid Crisis and declared the opioid crisis a public health emergency. President Trump also has a long record of putting Americans first on trade. In his first term, President Trump successfully used threats of tariffs on Mexico to help secure our border. When our national security was threatened by a global oversupply of steel and aluminum, President Trump took a swift action to protect America's national security by implementing tariffs on imports of these goods. In response to China's intellectual property theft, forced technology transfer, and other unreasonable behavior, President Trump acted with conviction to impose tariffs on imports from China, using that leverage to reach a historic bilateral economic agreement. Just last week, President Trump leveraged tariffs to successfully resolve national security concerns with Colombia. Swiftly, this dog. Oh, my puppy. Kaya. Give me that. Come here. Come here. Yep. Y'all can see her. Sorry, YouTube. Y'all can't see her. Just see this thing. Kaya. Give it here. Give it here. Give it here. She got 20,000 chew toys sitting everywhere. But she chews on everything that's not a toy. Okay, so before we get into Jessica's video, I watched, his name is slipping my mind, Chris Sane, and he did a very quick, like 15-minute video on these tariffs. And he was basically saying that eventually this will help the economy, although right now, everybody, is believing that it's going to hurt us. But he said eventually it is going to help the economy because right now, the U.S. is trillions of dollars in debt. And he's like, we have bad business practices. That's why we're trillions of dollars in debt, which makes sense. And essentially, we all know that Trump is a businessman. So let's watch his video real quick before we go back into Jessica's video. Okay, here it is.
If you're not making at least $5,000 to $10,000 a month of passive income trading Forex, then I want to
family. The Trump tariffs are official as of February 1st, 2025. We got to talk all about it, explain exactly what it means for you. As always, I got a jam-packed video for you guys, so please keep it locked. Please make sure you like, subscribe, help this video get at least 1,000 likes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Okay, guys, I want to jump right into it, okay? He has came into office and since day one has been getting down to business. You have to salute someone getting after it, especially in Washington, okay? Number one, the Trump tariffs, it's official, guys, all right? And this is going to be something that we may not see the full impact of right away, but I want you to check out. It is intended to, number one, fight illegal drugs. Number two, fight illegal immigration. Number three, bring back manufacturing to the U.S. Okay? And number four, the one that I'm most interested in, is canceling the income tax. Okay? These are the four things the tariffs are designed to do. Okay? Let me go over those one more time. Number one, we rolling this out to fight illegal drugs. Number two, we're fighting illegal immigration. Okay? Number three, we're trying to bring back manufacturing to the U.S. And number four, we are going to try and cancel the income tax. I don't know about you, there's way too much taxing going on in the U.S. Okay, and so that would be a huge deal for me personally, something that I would benefit from. All right, now what does this, or who does this impact? Okay, it's going to impact Mexico, China, and Canada. Those are going to be the three countries that are going to see the biggest ramifications from this. Okay, Mexico going to get hit with a 25% tariff. China going to get hit with a 10% tariff. And Canada is going to get hit with a 25% tariff. Okay, now you got to know, tariffs, guys, is essentially and basically an import tax. All right, so instead of trying to tax you on every dollar you make, every tip you receive, everything and every move you make, the taxes are going to try to come through imports, through Mexico, China, and Canada. And that is going to be what they are trying to design to replace income taxing and taxing you guys so much. Okay, now it's a lot of moving pieces to this. There's a lot of things that got to fall into place for this to actually be pulled off, but nevertheless, you have to salute the effort to try. All right, and so far it's in motion. So far it's in motion. Now with that being said, you got to know Mexico, Canada, and China gonna have some pushback. Okay, I saw Canada already. They ain't letting no Teslas come into Canada. If you ain't already in Canada and you try to come through the border, you can't get through, number one. And number two, they putting 100% tax tariff on them. All right, so again, you're going to see little back and forth. All right, you did this to us, we're going to do this to you. And they're going to try to see where they can find some common ground. But that's just one thing that's out there right now. But don't be surprised when China rain down something. Don't be surprised when Mexico rains down something, okay? It's just what comes with this, all right? But everything should be flowing through the U.S. And this tariff business is a way to get that back established so that we take our rightful place, okay? So we'll see how it all pans out, guys. Again, you have to know these things take time to filter through. So the things I want you to know, that you might see some temporary volatility in the market because the market don't fully know how everything is going to react and respond. All right. So with that being said, that's where your patience come into play. That's when your level of discipline comes into place so that you can know how to navigate, okay? But some sectors I want you guys to be looking at. Everybody make sure you add these.
Okay. All right, so if you want to listen to the stock options that he recommends for you to invest in, go ahead to his page, as Chris saying, and this video was Trump Tariffs Explained. All right. All right, so now we're gonna listen to Mr. Tony.
The trade agreement that he made when he was president last time, the NAFTA agreement, that's all getting destroyed. He destroyed that with the USMCA agreement that he made when he was president last time to balance out the trade between Mexico and Canada. So these tariffs are actually a violation of the USMCA agreement that he made back in 2020 or so with Mexico and Canada, right? That's the first thing. So, and these countries are going to have retaliatory tariffs placed on the United States. Now, there are smaller economies than the U.S. in terms of, their GDP and all this kind of thing, but we get critical things from from Canada and from Mexico. So we're going to go over that just a little bit, so you can have some idea about some of the major things that are impacted from these tariffs. In terms of the imports coming from Canada, right? One of the five of the biggest things that we're going to be looking at from coming from Canada are going to be the crude oil, petroleum. Okay, we're going to look at the vehicles and the auto parts. They got a lot of parts that have been manufactured in Canada that gets assembled inside the United States. I'm sorry. Let me back up a little bit. In terms of crude oil and petroleum, Canada is the largest supplier of crude oil to the United States, right? So that's going to get affected. Oil prices are going to go up, as we discussed last week, and you see we had a big push up in oil when the tariffs news hit, and the market started to react to that. In terms of vehicles and auto parts, like we just said, we get a lot of parts from Canada, and a lot of those cars and things get assembled inside the United States. Canada is a major producer of lumber and wood products to the United States. 46% or so of the wood comes from Canada, mostly softwood lumber and construction or key import areas for the United States. Now, the United States does make a lot of its own domestic wood, but in terms of some of the wood that we don't produce, most of that comes from Canada. I think the second biggest market is China at like 13% or something like that. So that's going to be affected. If you remember what happened last time with COVID, lumber prices went up, 6, 7, 10-fold, right? And construction slowed down, right? Home renovation slowed down, new construction slowed down. So the housing market is going to be affected by the increase in building materials.
And that's exactly what we've been waiting on. We need a pullback on the housing market. Come on.
In terms of minerals and metals, we get aluminum, gold, and some other raw materials from Canada, right? And we get and agriculturally, we get seafood, canola oils, and some dairy products. So those are going to be some of the areas that are going to be affected, right? So when we're talking about some of the top exports to Canada, right? We're going to be looking at like machinery equipment, industrial machinery, turbines, agricultural equipment. And these are going to be taxed on the tariff side going into Canada. So they're going to put a 25% tariff on all of these products coming into Canada. And they're already urging Canadian citizens to not buy United States products. They're urging them to buy Canadian products. So we're going to feel some prices there. Electronics, we export computers and semiconductors and communication equipment to Canada. That's going to be affected. Pharmaceutical products and medical equipment is going to be affected. Machines, medical devices, medicines, some medical equipment. And, United States is a big agricultural, we got a lot of, like we talked about last time, we got like a lot of farmland, right? Agriculture got a lot of good farmland in the United States. So, fruits and vegetables and processed foods and these things are going to be affected. We got, they got good beef products and they got processed foods that get shipped out. That's going to be affected going into Canada. So, there's going to be some price hikes across the board, for products coming into the country and for products going out of the country, right? So when we start talking about price increases, even if we were able to produce everything inside the United States, which we can't, the domestic producers are still going to raise prices. They're going to price gouge. They're going to take this opportunity to maximize profits while they can, and it's all going to come back down to the consumer, right? We're the ones that ultimately going to pay these tariffs. So we have to look into all of that. When we start talking about the exports to Mexico, they got some of the same things as Canada. We got machinery and equipment, industrial products. The technology and stuff is pretty much the same thing we're going to do, going to export to Canada. Some of the things that's going to be different, I guess, is going to be like some of the agricultural products, the corn, the soybeans, the pork, and the dairy products. And then we do a lot of chemicals and plastics to Mexico as well. So a lot of the cars that we're making now, if you remember what happened last time when the truckers kind of went on strike, the automobile industry got affected because some of the wiring that was needed to wire the hood to the trunk of your car, all of that wiring came from Mexico, and we couldn't get it in. So with these tariffs, we're going to have a similar effect with those products coming in and being more costly. They're talking about automobiles are going to add on average about $3,000 to the cost of every automobile because of the tariffs. And who knows how much, we're gonna be paying per egg before it's all over. You're not even gonna get a carton. It's gonna be $15 per egg or something. It's gonna be crazy. So we need to address that. And when you look at your chart, like Jessica just had up the chart, the DXY chart. If you look at that chart and you saw that huge gap up in the DXY, and we kind of talked about this last week or so, the DXY has a direct correlation to the movement of your asset. When you see that huge gap up like that, you're going to get an immediate reaction in your Forex charts when it relates to the movement of that DXY, the GU pairs and all that stuff. So if you want to know which way the market is going and how to trade it, you're going to do Justin's going to walk you through your technical analysis, but you need to pay attention to some of these key drivers. And the key driver, like we talked about last week, was the news and how they are communicating with each other, but we're listening to. And we saw, like, earlier in the week before the tariffs actually went into effect, we saw some other countries started to lower their interest rates, right? And they were lowering their interest rates because they anticipated that these tariffs was coming. I mean, it wasn't really an anticipation. He said they were coming, but they lowered their interest rate because when you lower your interest rate, it has a positive effect on your economy. So if you lower the rates, they try to keep the economy going strong, trying to head off all the negative impacts. But the fact of the matter is that these tariffs are so big that even with the lowering of those interest rates by quarter of a point or whatever it was, we're still going to have this negative impact on the market, on the Forex market, on the stock market, on the options market. We're still going to have this negative impact. And it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. But being traders and not just relying on investments, investors like in 401k plans and real estate investors and things like this, they make money when the economy is constantly going up, right? So when your 401k when the economy takes a dip, your 401k takes a dip, right? Unless you're playing the short side, and most 401ks don't play the short side. Real estate don't really play the short side, right? You're looking for the appreciation in your asset to keep going. But as traders, knowing how to trade the long side and the short side.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter if the economy is moving forward or if the
Right.
economy is, pulling back.
Right.
You can make money no matter which
On
way it's
both
going.
sides, 'cause we
As
feel
long
like
as
we
you
both.
understand the impact of the news cycles.
Okay.
And pretty much what we're talking about is when there's negativity in the markets, when there's uncertainty in the markets, you're going to have a negative impact, right, in the markets. Now, how long that impact is going to last, how significant and how deep it's going to be, we don't know. We know it's going to be a widespread impact because everybody's going to be affected. Nobody likes higher prices. Nobody wants to see, your eggs go up and your oil go up and the cost of automobiles go up. But really, if you're holding those assets, you really don't want to see them go down either. But if you're a trader and you can play both sides of the news cycle, the long side and the short side, it really doesn't matter if he imposed these tariffs from a financial perspective, because you can make money whether the market is going long, whether the market is going short. It's only going to affect us in our personal life when we go to the grocery store and we go to buy goods and we go to buy services. We're going to feel the pinch. But if you're offsetting those increase in prices with gains from your trading, it won't be as bad as other people who don't have the knowledge, the skills, and the ability to trade the market when it's up or when it's down. So that's kind of where we are, in the cycle right now. Crypto, like Jessica said, is going to be a hot play. I would imagine that it's pulling back right now. I haven't looked at it. I would imagine that it's taking that initial dip with everybody else until it finds its footing, and then it's going to rebound at least a little bit. I would expect tomorrow, when the market opens, that we will have a dip when the general session opens. Probably going to see some reaction in the London session, and we're going to see a little bit more reaction when the bigger market opens. The biggest market, U.S. market, opens at 9:30. We're going to see a big reaction in the options market, and it's going to be a probably a really, really negative impact there. In terms of the trade deficit, there has always been a trade deficit with the United States and other countries, right? And that's kind of one of the things that Trump is really upset about. I think in 2023, I think there was a trade deficit with Canada of like a negative 41 billion, and then I think Mexico was negative 160 some odd $60 billion. So these countries want to benefit from the U.S. market, but they don't necessarily want to have equitable trade partnership with the U.S., where the U.S. can sell their products and goods, their products and services in their market at a fair price, and they can sell their products and services in the United States at a fair price. They are benefiting greatly, and that's one of the things that Trump is upset about, the imbalance in trade, even after the USMCA trade agreement was signed in 2020 or so. So that's kind of where we are. I'm gonna start running my mouth for a minute and see if anybody has any questions, if they want to look at anything.
Does everybody understand what tariffs are?
They're
Yeah.
basically
Yes.
taxes,
Yes.
additional taxes on the goods coming into the country from that specific country, right?
Yes. Does everybody understand what Mr. Tony was saying in regards to how it's going to affect your everyday lives, or how it's going to trickle down to affect your everyday lives?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions on it?
Yes, and this might be elementary, but with goods and services such as that affects automobile manufacturing parts, etc. I understand. But when it comes down to like or small consumer items, for example, eggs, okay, which we anticipate will go up. Is it because fertilizers are going to be there's an increased cost in like fertilizers and so forth, or corn that maybe the chickens are eating that would go up? I just don't see it because that's more domestic.
That's what I was saying.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, I understand. I understand your question. there's going to be a fundamental cost in everything that goes up, from the price of oil all the way up, right? When the
Okay.
price of oil increases, which means it's more costly to ship, it's going to be more costly to store, it's going to be more costly to get stuff in, more costly to get stuff out. So when the price of oil increases, all the other stuff is going to increase by default. Then you
Makes
add on
sense.
top of that, you add on top of that, specifically to your question, the agricultural products. Fertilizers, the cost of fertilizer is going to go up. The cost of, feed for the animals are going to go up. The utility costs are going to increase, which means it's going to be more expensive to provide heating and cooling for the farmers, the workers, the animals in their little animal pens or whatever they call them. I'm not a farmer, so all of that stuff is going to go up across the board. Now you add on top of that the deportation that's going on, and the cheap labor that the United States has benefited from a number of years. The Hispanic workers I've heard that they're going to go on strike. They're not even going to show up to work because they want to show the United States how important they are to the economy. And then the other workers who are being deported, they are subject of being deported. They're scared to go to work. So those agricultural products that need to come out the ground, that need to be, those fields that need to be harvested, they're going to just rot, which means whatever is left is going to have an increase in price as well. Because the farmers are going to have to cover those costs, and they're going to pass those costs on to us. So there's a lot of things going on besides the tariffs. It's the additional shortage in labor. It's the additional increase in the raw materials for the farmers, the additional cost in the equipment maintenance, the additional cost in the oil and gas to run these facilities. When you add all of that together, it's going to come down to an increase in the grocery store prices. That's where the consumers are probably going to feel it first, right? Because everybody goes to the grocery store, and everybody goes to the grocery store every week, just about, right? So you're going to see it there first. I don't have to buy new clothes. I can use my old clothes. I don't have to buy a new car. I can keep my old car. But I got to go to the grocery store every week if, sustain my family. So you're going to feel it there, So I would suggest if you got anything that you need to do in the short term, go ahead and do it. Get it out the way. Get your car serviced. Get your maintenance items done. If you can get some home repairs to do, I would do it before the labor price, the lumber prices go sky high like they did last time. Get those things out of the way. You're not going to be able to make it through all of it, but you'll be able to make it through some of it.
Also, well, so yeah. So in regards to the food tax, what Mr. Tony said, all food, like everything's really going up as far as commodities, but the bird flu also is what made egg prices shoot up because they had to cut
We just
or they
looked
had
at
to
that
kill so many chickens.
whole thing.
Y'all know about the bird flu, right?
Yes, but I didn't know about the
Yeah,
killing part.
absolutely.
I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was on the news. They killed like 15 million chickens so far since
That
January.
makes sense then.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
Right.
So they killed like 14 million chickens or something like that since January.
Yeah, I went to buy my eggs yesterday because I do like my ordering online on Sam's, and all of the eggs was sold out, and I was like, why all the eggs sold out? And I refused to buy eggs from the regular grocery store because the cost difference is ridiculous. Like the amount that I can get for 18, they charging way more just for 12. So I didn't even look to see if Walmart had it or Aldi's or whatever, but Sam's was sold out. And I was like, what is going on with this doggone bird flu? It's crazy. The birds getting sick, y'all. Oh, my Shayla.
Or since last month. So it's a shortage in chickens. I mean, obviously supply and demand, we all know. So supply is
Not the
low.
chicken.
So demand
What we
is
gonna
high.
eat now?
And somebody actually died from it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
Much for the Super Bowl.
yeah. So that's the thing. But then what Mr. Tony was saying in regards to consumers, and basically food tax. Mr. Tony in the chat, hold on. Adonis said this might be elementary as well. So none of you guys' questions are elementary, okay? Because everybody's here to learn. But he said this might be elementary as well, but why would it be advantageous for Trump to do this? To put tariffs in place?
What Trump is trying to do is get a fair trade agreement with the other countries, because we just talked about a little bit about the trade imbalance, right? So these countries, and if you remember last time when Trump was talking about how they're taking advantage of the United States and how United States taxpayers are subsidizing all these other countries, sending money all over the world, our taxes are going up, and you're not really getting a lot for it. You know, they sending money to Ukraine, they sending money to Europe, they sending money to all these different places, right? And they are benefiting from the consumers in the United States. And in his mind, and what he's trying to do is make that a more equitable trade agreement where, okay, we know that you're going to benefit from our economy, right? But we also want to benefit from being able to sell in your economy, right? So it doesn't make a lot of sense for those countries to have an unfair trade agreement with the United States, where they get to push all of their products, all of their goods, all of their services, and then when you go overseas or across the borders even, and you go to get some of their products, it's more expensive to buy U.S. products in those countries. So they have an unfair advantage in terms of the imports and exports and the trade that's going in between the two countries. So he's trying to make that a more equitable agreement between the countries, right? And a lot of these countries now, I've been on this earth 55 years, right? Almost 55 years come June, right? And in those 55 years, I have in my immediate mind, my immediate recollection, I have never seen an Asian person drive anything besides a Toyota or a Honda, right? And that's not being stereotypical, right? I just don't ever remember seeing them. I don't ever remember seeing a whole bunch of them driving Fords or driving GMs, right? They always support their country.
Come on.
Now, United States, on the other hand, you'll buy Fords, you'll buy Lexus, you'll buy Hondas, you'll buy Kias, you'll buy whatever, right? And I'm just trying to make a correlation, a distinction between how those countries and those citizens of those countries support their countries and their country's products and their country's goods and their country's services.
Come on with a word.
And they don't necessarily support the United States and their products and their services. So, and the automobile is the one of the easiest and the quickest ways I can do that, because I can't remember ever seeing an Asian family driving a Ford 150. I mean, just okay, I just don't see it, right? So that's kind of the things that we're talking about, right? They are supporting themselves, their countries, but they're not really supporting the United States and the United States businesses.
Exactly, and that's why Trump is putting
Understand
stuff
that.
in place
That makes sense.
to bring money back to us. Like, I understand that, like we said again, that you don't like the person, but he does have a reason behind all of his behaviors. You may not agree with it, but a lot of these countries, they started it when they tried to, well, they are trying to create another currency and make it stronger than the dollar. I mean, they started it. They started it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see. We got another question. There was a question in the chat about could this be leading to our generations versus that of the Great Depression? I think I understand the question.
Could be leading to
I don't think the
a
United
great depression
States
for our generation.
is headed for a depression at this point. I mean, they survived. I think we was already in a depression. They never called it that. They called it the Great Recession or whatever. But we had several quarters of economic, pullback. And by definition, that was a depression. But okay, we'll call it the Great Recession. Okay, so a depression by any other name, right? But anyway, they're going to do everything they can to not call it a depression, like they did last time. No matter how hard or how far it pulls back, they're going to call it a recession. We know that from history.
But one thing as a trader, one thing as an investor, you need to learn to love a pullback. These moments where times may seem to be hard, those are our buying opportunities for when the economy becomes better. We have positioned ourselves to grow with the economy, okay? So these may be trying seasons, but I'm not claiming that for myself because I am a child of the true and living King, okay? And I live under kingdom principalities, okay? Under kingdom rules. Don't live under these earthly rules. And you need to claim that for yourself also. And pray Psalms 91 over you and your family and your homes, that throughout all of this, everything that happens, it will not affect you. God is going to keep you and cover you, okay? Don't include yourself in this mess. What we're going to include ourselves in is that we're going to become wealthy, okay? We are going to become wealthy in times of the nation's turmoil.
Right? It's nothing that we're making up or guessing at. They've done it before, they're going to do it again. And because when you classify something as a depression, the negative connotations of that are just so tremendous. So that, even though it's going to pull back a little bit, the companies in the United States are so strong, right? That they're going to try to keep making those countries stronger, particularly the growth companies, the high tech companies, which is really the drivers of the economy. If you look at the broader market, the Dow, the S&P, and stuff like that, if you look at that on the FinBiz chart, you'll see a lot of those are just kind of really just going sideways, maybe pulling back a little bit. Most of the activity is in the high tech sectors, right? And that's going to drive a lot of the direction of the market. Now, a long time ago, we talked about how the stock market and the economy used to be synonymous, but it's not anymore. Now we have the stocks, and now we have the economy. They're not the same thing. So they'll say the economy is strong, and we can look at it and say, well, it's really not strong. What we see is the strength of those big tech companies, or those big companies, those mega cap corporations, the mega corporations, right? So they'll say, well, it's strong, but they're confusing the strength of the corporations with the strength of the economy, right? If you can't tell me that we're losing jobs like they have been losing, and the economy is strong, the math doesn't make sense.
Math ain't math.
You can't tell me that we got this trade deficit, but the economy is strong. You can't tell me, we can't pay the United States can't pay its bills, but it's stronger and richer than ever. It doesn't make sense to me. What they're saying to me when I hear that, what they're saying to me is, we got these, these 10, 15, 20 companies, they are, busting their anus all up in, the stock market, and everything is great, hunky-dory. They're doing semiconductors, they're doing quantum computing, they're doing, data centers or whatever. But you look at the broader market and it's just kind of going sideways, right? So you really have to make that distinction between the economy and the companies, and the size of the thing that matters, and whether those and how close we are or how far away we are from a depression. I don't think we're near a depression. I don't even think we're near a recession. We might be near a corrective period of time, and depending on how long that goes and how the escalation of these tariffs.
And a corrective period is a pullback, right? So with trading it's I can show you right here. Impulse, correction, continuation. Although we didn't get a higher high here, so this technically wasn't a full continuation, but that's what he means with in a correction. It's a pullback. And in pullbacks, we buy, okay?
ripple through the international community and how they ripple through the domestic community is going to determine a lot about how things unfold going forward. Nobody has a crystal ball, uh, but we can take advantage of the short term volatility and make money while the market is coming down, and we can make money while the market is going up.
Yes, we can.
As they work through this recession, depression, or correction activity that's going on right now.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea what is going on with Elon getting access to the treasury funds, the social security money, and all the federal money?
I'm not familiar with that. I didn't hear it. So what did Elon do?
I saw that on Baller.
The director of the Treasury Department, David Lieberg, he resigned a couple of days ago because Elon Musk requested access to the Treasury Department's, like basically like the government's checkbook. So, I mean, I think people were a little concerned because now that he's resigned, he actually, I think it was reported maybe like an hour ago that he now has access to that.
Okay. So I heard about this, but I did not look it up yet. All right. Washington Post is a reputable source. And let's create a free account. Didn't I just click in the morning? Okay, I don't have preference. Whatever. No, skip. Don't ask me all these questions. I just want to read an article. Dang. Okay. Musk aides gain access to sensitive Treasury Department payment system. The access. Billionaire Elon Musk deputies have gained access to a sensitive Treasury Department system responsible for trillions of dollars in the U.S. government payments after the administration ousted a top career official at the department. Now, how did he gain access to this when wasn't he just kicked out of the White House because he's not a United States citizen? I did not know this man was South African. What is really going on? According to 3 people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe government deliberations on Friday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent approves access to Treasury payment system for a team led by Tom Kraus, a Silicon Valley executive worker, in concert with Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, the people said. David Alebrick, who served in non-political roles at Treasury for several decades and had been the acting secretary before Bessent's confirmation, had refused to turn over access to Musk's surrogates, people familiar with the situation, told the Washington Post. Trump official placed whoever this guy is on administrative leave. Okay, I guess he was the head of head of Treasury. And then he announced his retirement Friday in an email to colleagues. The sensitive systems run by the Bureau of the Fiscal Service control the flow of more than $6 trillion annually. Tens of millions of people across the country rely on the systems. They are responsible for paying Social Security and Medicare benefits, salaries for federal personnel, payments to government contractors and grant recipients, and tax refund. Hold on now, don't mess with my tax refund. I haven't reached the tax bracket yet to where I'm not getting taxes, but this year I claim it. Among tens of thousands of other functions. Typically, only a small group of career employees control the payment system, and former officials have said it is extremely unusual for anyone connected to political appointees to access them. Musk has sought to exert sweeping control over the inner workings of the U.S. government. And again, he's not a citizen. Trump, I mean, you stick to your word with this citizenship. Just because Elon is a billionaire it should not grant him special privileges. But we know money talks and BS walks, right? Typically, only a small group of career employees control the payment systems, and former officials have said it is extremely unusual for anyone connected to political appointees to access them. Musk has sought to exert sweeping control over the inner workings of the U.S. government, installing longtime surrogates at several agencies, including the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, which essentially handles federal human resources, and the General Services Administration, which manages real estate. Doge is now housed in the White House office. So I did not buy any of Doge. Hold on, was Doge affected by this? I like to use the crypto chart. There's a Forex Dogecoin chart, forex.com. Let's look at it. Oh, it's dropping too, so. Did you see the little Dogecoin, the Doge symbol pop up? Oh, I thought it was going to come back up. Well, I mean, it's selling too, so it ain't like it really affected it and made it go crazy. What is Doge at? The Doge is at $23, $23. Okay. Doge is now housed in a White House office formerly known as the U.S. Digital Service, but now called the U.S. Doge Service, and has broad visibility into technology across the government. Democrats have strongly criticized the idea of giving Musk surrogates access to the payment systems. Why? To put it bluntly, these payment systems simply cannot fail, and any political motivated meddling in them risks severe damage to our country and the economy. Sin Ron Wyden said in a letter to Bissett on Friday, I can think of no good reason why political operators who have demonstrated a blatant disregard for the law would need access to these sensitive mission critical systems. Yeah. First of all, I'm sorry, that distracted me. First of all, what are you going to do with this, Elon? Why did you feel the need to have access to these systems when you're worth disgusting. 421 billion, and the US is trillions in debt. Sir, give us some of your money. Why do you need access to the financial systems they said it pay out people's social security? So these are people that aren't working. They need their money and our taxes, baby. We worked all year. Y'all took this money from us all year, and now y'all basically just giving us a little bit of what y'all took from us, and it's now at risk? What? Elon, first of all, go back to South Africa, okay? Let's make sure I'm saying it right. Yeah. Pretoria, come get him. It's a mess.
Interesting.
He didn't request it. He locked them out. The computer systems.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not familiar with that. But as the saying goes, you follow the money, right? So
follow the money.
It's going to be I don't know, man. When they start messing around with the money, this is probably going to tie into one of the questions that just appeared in the chat about, do you think Trump is going to abolish the federal income tax?
Yeah,
Okay.
he talked about that.
All these money questions are going to be pretty prevalent in the next few weeks and months, right? No, I don't. To answer the question, I don't think he's going to abolish the federal income tax. This country runs on taxes. Bottom line, they need tax dollars to make the thing work. When you turn off the money.
Okay, so they do need tax dollars to make it work, but that's what Trump. That's why he said he's trying to do these tariff taxes so that it won't fall on our backs, but it'll fall on other countries' backs.
This stuff is just going to get crazy over here, right? So I don't think that's going to happen, but I could be wrong. I don't think it's going to happen. It hasn't happened before, so history dictates that they probably won't cut off the income taxes. In terms of the Treasury, right? Them having access to that information is really scary because you kind of want the separation between the money and the people making the decisions, right? I mean, that should be oversight, of course, but in terms of them having access to that information and how the money is flowing, that's probably a dangerous and scary situation. I probably don't even want to discuss that on camera.
Right.
To be honest with you, but I don't really have an opinion about it. I haven't looked into it, but I probably will look into it now that I know about it, just to see how I think it's going to affect it once I read it. But I can't answer that question for you right now. I'm sorry.
Mr. Tony, thank you for all the information that you provide this evening. I just have a question about the alternate perspective about, like, if these tariffs are in place and if there is any kind of strategy for this to put America in a better position. Do you have any insight on markets that will boom as a result of some of these fiscal policies? Like aside from crypto?
That's a good question. Yeah. I mean, there's still going to be. I mean, the oil is going to go up. Precious metals are probably going to eventually find its footing and go up, right? I mean, people are going to run to safe havens right now with the increase in the dollar. Interest rates are going to be the higher, things like that. With the increase in that, people are going to we're going to be in a risk off situation, and a risk off situation and when everybody's feeling great, hunky dory, and they feel like investing and they're taking all these extra risks. They're investing in high risk assets and emerging markets and things like this. When you're in a risk off situation, which is what they're pushing the economy into, people are going to start pulling back on things, right? You're going to see the cost of agriculture go up. It's going to, everything takes an initial dip, right? But eventually, these corporations and these farmers and these mega corporations mostly own Bill Gates and these big institutions owning all this farmland. Mm-hmm. They're going to push prices higher. So agriculture is probably going to see an immediate impact. An almost immediate impact in increase in prices. You're going to see increase in prices in oil. You're going to see increase in lumber. Lumber is going to go up. Right. And for those people who still need to build, right, they're going to be affected. If you you don't have to build anything, that probably won't affect you directly, but it will affect you because it's going to be more costly for stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, these building and construction type companies. It's going to be more expensive for them. So the initial impact from something like this is always going to be. Well, I don't like to use the term always, but a lot of times it's going to be a strong negative impact. And then the markets are going to find a footing, and it's either going to, from a technical perspective, it's either going to consolidate at the lows, right? Once it finds its low, or it's going to find its footing, and then it's gradually going to start going higher. Now, what I would not expect is for these prices to go higher faster or drastically, right? I mean, the ripple effect of these tariffs are going to have to play out, but they eventually will lead to higher prices across the board, and this is going to play into like some of the seasonal cycles with agriculture, because when you're on the season, when you got agriculture specifically, it's kind of an easy one really. Most of the commodities, not just agriculture, but most of the commodities are kind of easy. because they go into the ground at a certain year, or they have to come out of the ground at a certain time of year, right? There's really no if, ands, or buts about it. You plant it, it needs this many months to mature and get harvested, or you harvest gold at a certain time of year. You harvest, any of these commodities at a certain time of year. So how does that overlay with the tariffs and its normal seasonal cycle, right? So we're gonna have to see how this affects that, and then you're going to be able to monitor that, especially when it turns, when you're looking at agriculture specifically, or you're looking at commodities specifically, you can monitor that by looking at the futures market. Futures markets are forward looking, right? It's a futures. What are you going to pay me tomorrow for my product today? What is my pork going to cost me tomorrow? What are you going to pay me for this pig tomorrow, today? Okay. So we make a contract, and when I give you this pig in 6 months, you only give me $100, right? So I know what that price is going to be going forward. So I know how many pigs I need to raise in order to say you to and what weight they got to be, and how many tons I got to give you to get the price of it tomorrow, today. I know that. So I would look at some of those things like that. Look at things that's coming down the pike. Look at some of the things that's on these cycles that's coming up in the next quarterly cycle. All the forex is on the cycle. The stock markets are on the cycle. iPhones come out at a certain time of year. Right. Microsoft releases products at a certain time of year.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is on seasonal cycles.
Okay.
So how does this play into the cycle of what these corporations are doing, and what they're harvesting, what they're producing, what they're selling? And that's how you're going to figure out, where things are headed. If you watch the news, they'll tell you, oh, we're going to cut back on building data centers. We're going to cut back on our next release of, XYZ product, or we're going to have layoffs. I think Microsoft just announced some layoffs, as a matter of fact, right? So you're going to start seeing stuff like that happen.
Yeah.
And then when they start having layoffs, they're trying to save the company. They're trying to keep the revenue going in the right direction for the earnings reports and all this type of thing. So you'll see it if you're paying attention to the news cycle. Don't just ignore the news cycles when they come out. Don't like, oh, they're just Microsoft. I don't invest in Microsoft. Microsoft is a big player, international player. So don't ignore the news that comes out about them. Tesla is a big player. I don't mess with Tesla. I don't really like it particularly, but I watch it because they're a big player, right? What are they doing? What are they saying? As now that Elon has Donald Trump's ear, you really got to look at what he's saying, what he's doing, right? Even if you don't trade it, because that's going to give you an indication which way the EV market is going, and the smaller EV players, where they're going. And, there's going to be opportunities to trade and to invest. You just have to pay attention to the fundamentals of it all, and not ignore things that you see and hear, and just say, well, it doesn't affect me. It does affect you. It may not affect you directly, but it will affect you eventually.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, my man.
Hi, Tommy. So even though this is something we don't have to worry about for another 4 years, do you think that it is possible that he will be able to somehow go around the Constitution and get a third term?
He's not going to be able to go around the Constitution to get a third term, but they can't change the Constitution since they are in control of the Senate and in Congress. There's nothing keeping them from changing the Constitution, right? Usually, you got one branch of government that says yay, one branch of government that says no, but they own it all. They can push through whatever they want to push through, and it's like an old crossover, right? You're going to fake left and go right. Right. You're going to get everybody over here worried about tariffs and taxes and, whether I'm going to have a job or not. And while they're doing all of this and you're looking over here to the right, they're making a move over here on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be so busy worrying about the right, we're going to totally ignore what they're doing on the left. Right. They're going to be doing, he's going to, it looks like he's going to try to rule by executive order. Executive orders really have the force of law. Now, that doesn't change the Constitution. Right. And really the only thing standing in the way right now of full dictator control or federal judges, right? Federal judges have the power to temporarily delay, deny, rebuke some of the things that they're trying to do. But eventually, right, they're going to change laws enough in their favor, maybe even the Constitution in their favor, to allow him to have a third term. Now, if you read the proposal for the change of the Constitution, and I only read briefly a part of it, they're trying to say a president can have a third term of the Constitution as so long as he didn't serve 2 consecutive terms, which means that knocks out Obama, right? It doesn't knock out Trump, right? So they're going to try to push something like that through to say, okay, well, he didn't have 2 consecutive terms. He's the president now. He can go a third term or whatever. So they're going to try to do. It's going to be an okie doke. And what they're doing now is they're testing the waters. Some of this stuff is just so outlandish. Let's throw it to the wall, see what sticks, see what the opposition is, see where the gaps are, see who raises their hand in protest, see what the citizens are going to do. If this was another country, France or Italy or Europe or something, people would already be in the streets in uproar. But United States citizens have become so docile. Nobody has protested. Nobody said anything. Nobody said a word.
Today, my pastor said that we are more we become more in an uproar when someone has integrity and they're righteous versus someone being corrupt. And like he just said, we're so numb. We're so numb to all of this stuff that's going on because it's to the point it's like, well, what can we do about it? What are our protests doing? What is us getting up, going and walking down the street with signs every day changing? To be honest, what is our voting changing? So we've come to the point where it's like, well, it's not like we can really do anything about it. We just go along with it. And it's sad. It's sad. And I say we because including myself.
Right. So they talk about the DEI programs, for example, and most of the people who benefit from DEI programs are not even minorities. Right. It's mostly white women, white men who benefit from those programs. Right. So it's but you marginalize a group. You say you don't have what you need because of this group. This group is a source of your problems. It's them. They did it. They, when the two airplanes, when the airplane and helicopter crashed, first thing they said was DEI. Well, it's a white person flying this one, it's a white person flying this one. How's that DEI? But you said enough times, that group or that marginalized group that can't defend themselves becomes the scapegoat for whatever is happening in the world. You don't have what you need because of this group. Now, we can say what you want to say about that, but same thing happened in 1930s Germany. Marginalized group got accused of everything. This group is doing this. You don't have what you need because of this group. It's them. Those people did it. We've seen it before. What's to say we're not seeing it again? Right. So we have to be very cautious because we're on slippery slopes. Right. And they can change if, since they got all branches of government, they can push through whatever they want to push through. You see, he's laying off FAA agents. And now how many crashes we done had in the last week just because of that? And it takes forever to become an FAA agent. It takes forever to become an FBI agent. It takes forever to become part of the DOJ. And you got to go through rigorous training. And just think about the knowledge and the experience that is being lost from these people who just all of a sudden don't have jobs today. That's going to have a profound impact, So, I'm not traveling. I'm not getting on the plane to save my life.
I stopped getting on planes last year. If you don't know who Prophet Giles is, I urge you to go over to YouTube and watch his prophecies. Everything that God has given him is definitely coming to pass, and one of them was to not get on the plane in this season. And everything is definitely unfolding. I'm definitely going to be driving if I have to take a long-term trip. Not to say be fearful. Of course, you should pray before you do any and everything, but continue to pray and cover your cities and cover your homes and cover your children, because the times that we are going into is definitely about to get real. But God is real, okay, guys? God is even realer.
You know, those was already falling off the airplanes, right? And landing strips and stuff wasn't coming down out the planes already. And you get rid of the regulatory body that looks into it. Man, I'm not flying. If I can't get there by caravan, I ain't going. I tell you right now. So anyway, that's kind of where we are with that. Hope that answered your question.
Hey, Tony.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. So it's about the tariff. So let's say after what everything Trump did with the tariffs, let's say all the countries, I hope this question is valid because this whole subject is still very new for me. So let's say the countries around the world are starting to be terrified and don't want to support suddenly America. Let's say the Chinese starting to buy cars from America and stuff like that. And we're expecting the trading balance to get into a better position for America. Would Trump going to get back from the tariffs, like there is such a thing, or the second this move is been done, there you cannot take the tariffs down, or can we expect changes with that? I hope the questions make sense. I don't know if, yeah.
Oh, I think I get it. If he gets what he wants, it's like a schoolyard bully, right? Once he beats you up and take your money, there's no reason to beat you up again. He already beat you up, right?
Right.
So at some point, once you get what you want, or mostly what you want, you're gonna have to relieve that pressure. Otherwise, what's the benefit of negotiating if I'm gonna give you what you want and you're still gonna beat me up?
Yeah.
So eventually, if he gets most of the things that he wants, and believe me, he doesn't want all of the things that he's saying. He put everything on the list. It's like going to court. You put all the charges on the defendant, and you say, well, we want to charge him with these 5 things, but we really got these 3 things that we want, right? So you put everything on there. Some of the judge may throw out. Some of it may be invalid because of laws or Congress that the Constitution or whatever. It's not even legal. So those things will probably get thrown out, and you'll see what's left, and that's what he really wants. You don't go to the negotiation table with the things you want. You go with more than what you want, and then you say, okay, I throw these 2 or 3 things out. This is what I take these 3 things, and he'll still get what he wants, but he doesn't want all those things.
Okay.
It's impossible to get all of those things because nobody's going to be a patsy and do a win-lose scenario. Everybody's going to want to feel like they won something. So he's going to walk away with some wins. He's going to walk away with some losses. But the thing that he loses, he really didn't want anyway.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Tony. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that the dollar could collapse? And if so, like, would they try to push crypto as the new currency? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Throughout history, there has been a 100% failure rate, 100% of all fiat currencies, right? 100%. There is not one currency that existed before that exists now, right? So people think that the U.S. dollar is different, and it's holding on because it is the reserve currency, and it was tied to petroleum, but they since decoupled it from the petrol, and they got crypto now. They got crypto and they got gold. And they said crypto was bad until it wasn't.
Yep.
When all the senators didn't have cryptos and all the government and officials didn't have cryptos, it was bad. Now that they got it, it's great.
Right.
Right. So it's bad until it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they make the decision when it's bad and when it's good. And usually it's good when they got it. Usually bad when they don't have it. So in terms of the dollar collapsing, it is a very real possibility that the dollar is going to collapse at some point. In our lifetime, I don't know. It depends on how aggressive they are with collapsing the dollar. They are doing everything they can to be in position to collapse the dollar. But they want to collapse it when they are in position to benefit, right? And they've been talking about a digital currency for a while. They've been talking about, and make no mistake about it, we're already a digital currency society. You go to the credit store, you go to the store, how many people pull out cash? You've been using credit and digital currency for a while. they call it credit, but you've been using it for a long time.
Yeah.
Debit cards, you've been losing it for a long time. All your checks and stuff are direct deposit. That's not cash. That's digital. You know, anytime they want to increase the deficit, they just add a zero. That's not cash. That's digital. So we've been in a digital society for a very long time under a different name.
Yeah.
So they
Under
are
a different
pushing
name.
for a digital society because they can control the digital currency.
Come on now.
You know, they can control what you spend it on. If you overweight or underweight, well, you're not eating enough. You know, you can only buy vegetables. You know, you're eating too much. You can't buy junk food. You're a smoker. You can't get insurance. You know, they can control the digital currency and they can see everything that you buy with a digital currency. They can't do that. If I go to the store right now and put $10 out of my pocket, they have no idea what I spend it on. That's not acceptable. They need to know what you're spending your money on so they can control what you spend your money on.
And there's no protections, nothing that we can do to protect that.
I'm sorry, say it again.
There's nothing that we can do as a society to like protect ourselves or to avoid, like to do something. I don't know. That's too much, giving up too much control. I don't like it.
You know, I mean, that's what happened when you give control to a government body. They say government for the people, by the people, but that's not really the case. It's government for the government. You know, if the government collapses, right, they have a government continuity plan. They don't have a citizen continuity plan. Right. So the government is going to protect the government. They're not going to come for us. They're telling you, hey, protect yourself. Stock up food for a year. A year. What am I gonna do after that first year? What I'm gonna do? So they're not coming for us. So the best thing that we can do is kind of what we're doing now is learning to trade, learning to invest. You know, because when these jobs close up, when they say don't come to work, or when they say, well, you're a government official if you don't come to work, or if you don't come to work, you can't. If you don't want to come to the office, you can't come to work. But if you do come to the office, you got to take these vaccinations. Well, I don't want to take the vaccination. Well, you can't come to the office. So they're going to make you. They're going to force you into a situation where you're going to have to make a decision, and that decision is going to be either I conform or I quit. If you quit, the way the system is set up, you're not eligible for benefits, unemployment benefits and things like that, which sucks anyway. But you don't get anything if you quit. But they're going to force you into a position to quit.
Right.
Because the alternative is going to be so outlandish, you're not going to want to participate. Right? Okay, well, what if they say, well, you know, in order to come into this building, you got to get a chip in your forehead or a chip in your hand. Okay, what you going to do then? You going to get the chip in your head or your chip in your hand? Most people are going to be like, I don't think so. Okay, well, quick, you can't get in the building. Now you're forced to decide, you know, how I'm going to feed my family. Where the money going to come from? What the products and services I'm going to need going to come from? So they can control a lot once they go digital. Just like they control your TV. You know, analog TV was just fine. The digital TV got all kind of breaks in the signal. You can't hardly watch a football game because of it. Right? So, or any program. So they can control the digital. They can just turn it off. Or they turn off a radio signal. Or TV radio. Analog. So it's gonna, you know, what you're doing now, learning to trade, learning to invest, like I said last week, double down on it because it's getting real serious.
Yeah.
And get those skills to a position where you can at least support yourself on a daily basis, make you $300, $400, $500 a day.
Yes.
And you'll be all right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, you guys. So tomorrow, remember we have our call from our student.
All right, so that's all from Mr. Tony. Thank you, Mr. Tony. Thank you, Jessica, for putting this here information on YouTube. Thank you, Mr. Chris Sane. Yeah, the world is definitely gonna look real different, guys. We got to put ourselves in position to not rely on these jobs and to not rely on the government, okay? And although I'm saying not rely on the government, right now this Trump coin, it made 16? When did it hit 16? 21. Hold on, y'all. Me in military time, I gotta count all the time. It's 12, 21. It just happened at 9 o'clock. I've been looking at my moonshot app Waiting for it to hit 16. It's at 17.92. Okay, so it did hit 16. My alert didn't go off for some reason. I have my alert right here. Okay, well, it happened. This is another reason why I can't really rely on these alerts. Hold on. All right. So we was waiting on price to get to the $16 area. I said that was going to be another good buy-in price, but we had this hourly gap right here. It hit 50% perfectly and rejected off of it perfectly. But now I'm looking at the 30-minute, and it's a little gap right here, which will be below 16 for 50%. Price could come down here to 15. Okay. So, but from this 16, I expect for price to continue higher and not come any lower. I did get me some more money in around $18. I was like, it's close enough. I didn't really feel like waiting for it to get to 16. But this is why we invest. And right now, if you're new to investing, I suggest you go to my Instagram or my TikTok. It's the same handle as YouTube, Sierra_trades_. Click on that moonshot link. And right now you can get you a whole Trump coin for $18. It's like $5 if you buy it with a debit card. I'm not sure what the transaction fee is, transferring it from Bitcoin to Solana, but you can buy directly with the debit card. It's like $5. So 18 plus 5, 19, 20, 21, 23. Yes, I still count my hands. Shut up. $23, $24. You can get you a whole coin and potentially start your investment journey. And throughout these next 3 years, hopefully we will make us some gains, off of $18. Let's see if we can grow that $18 into $1,000. Okay. All right, so join me back here tomorrow. I will be live at 6:30 Central Standard Time. That's 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Market opens up at 9:30. We're gonna get on, do our daily journaling, say our daily prayers, and mark up all these charts that I didn't get to mark up today. All right. So have a good evening.